Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is me, Mr. Caraman, and today we are going to be talking about DC Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 and if it is still good. So I'm quickly loading up the episode guide of this season. I will say, I have been very positive about the first 5 seasons of this show. I think most people, I loved Season 1, I loved Season 2, I loved Season 3. 4 was a little weaker, 5 was very strong. I actually think, I loved 5. 5 was incredible. Season 6, I will say, was terrible. This was probably the worst season by far of this show. I pretty much hated everything about it. And I have been so positive about the show, but this season was so bad. The main thing I hate about it, there's a very big thing, and it's the fact that it's aliens. This entire show is about traveling through time, but it's like trying to do stuff with the aliens, like you have to go to do the alien thing, but it just doesn't work nearly as well. The aliens are too odd for this show. Like, they don't fit enough. It's too weird. Like, the other thing is, like, no episode in this season, I believe, really, like, I think I'm currently seeing there's one episode that has above a 8 on the scale in Rotten Tomatoes, which is great. Most of the seasons have, like, some really solid episodes. This season just doesn't. And I think, especially coming off of the season, which does it so well, I think this season one of my biggest issues with the season is it's just kind of boring. Like, this was one of the seasons where I actually kind of, like, didn't want to watch the show. I just felt like it was very boring. And I just don't think the aliens were an interesting threat. I think the idea of the history thing, I think what's so cool about that is you're getting things from that time period. And especially what they did last season, which I thought was so good, is how we were getting these incredible, like, villains. And that was the main plot. And I thought that was so fun, especially for someone who loves history. I just feel like this season just didn't work in any way for me. And it wasn't even comedically bad. Like, there was one episode I enjoyed, and that was episode 7. Right? Yeah, it's 7. I also just don't like the things on the alien planet. I just didn't think this season was very interesting. So, let's just talk about the episodes. Season 6, episode 1, Ground Control to Sarah Lance. Decent. I didn't love this episode. It was just kind of odd. I just didn't like it very much. I still had hope at that point. Season 6, episode 2, Meet the Legends. This one was fine, but this is another one that just has the issues with the season. Like, I think the cast of the season even isn't that strong. For me, I think that Totem Zari, or, like, the Flannel Zari, or, like, season 3 and 4 Zari, is so much better than season 5 and 6 Zari. This, like, influencer Zari is just not a fun character to see on screen. Like, in season 3, the Hurt Zari was, like, so good. And in season 4, we got her development. She was probably the best part of that season with her and Nate. And I loved how they felt like real characters. But now they're kind of, like, literally they feel like they're on a sitcom. Bayrod, I feel like I liked him in season 5, but he has nothing to do in this season. Nate, who used to be one of my favorite characters, has nothing to do. Mick literally does nothing in this season. He pretty much just sits around doing nothing every episode. Like, that was another thing that was shocking to me. Like, Nate did nothing throughout this entire season. Sarah was... I did like the idea of Sarah being on the other planet. I actually did like the idea of splitting up her and Ava. But even they're not that interesting anymore. Like, I had no characters to latch onto because all the characters just don't feel like a joke of their prior selves. Because this season stepped so far away from what the show used to be. And I feel like this show is a show that can't run for very long. Like, The Flash is really just a show about a guy. Like, you can do anything with that. Same with Arrow. Here you have a very strict formula of what you can do. And I kind of hate that this show... I feel like in the old seasons, we had a really fun team. But now we've kind of have no good characters. I think Spooner's fun. I think Astra's fun. I think Constantine's fun. I just don't like any of them very much. I think pretty much my two favorite characters ever in the show are Nate and Zari, which I never expected. I expected to love like other characters, but like these are my two favorites of the entire show. And when I say Zari, I mean Flannel Zari. And I think the personality of these characters are gone. Like this influencer Zari is just mean to everyone. And like this other Nate is just kind of a joke. And I really hope in season 7 they go back to what makes this show good. I know we get Rip Hunter back, and I'm very excited about that. But I really do hope in this next season we get like Flannel Zari back, maybe. Maybe we get back like a good Nate. And I really just hope we get like good characters, because I want to feel like I care about the people I'm seeing on screen and not just like seeing these random, like I don't feel like I know these characters anymore. Episode 3, The X Factor, just had no reason to care. Episode 4, Bay of Squids, I did like this episode a little more, and that's because they actually did some interesting stuff with history and all of that. I actually also did like Nate being in the Oval Office with Zari. I actually thought that was very interesting, because they did stuff with Nate. This was the one episode where they used Nate well. I loved how they had Nate do that, and how they had Nate like really be a history nerd. That was incredible in this episode. That was one of my favorite episodes, actually. 6, episode 5, A Satanist Apprentice, terrible. Hated everything about this. So bad. 6x6, Bishop's Gambit. Honestly, couldn't tell you a single thing that happened. Episode 7, Back to the Finale Part 2. I enjoyed this episode. This episode was actually pretty strong. I really liked a lot of what this episode did. This was one of the best episodes in the season. Very strong. I like the ideas presented. 6-8, Distress Western, terrible. I did not like really anything that happened. I did like some of the ideas. I will say, some of the ideas that were in this was fun, but I still didn't like it much. 6, episode 9, This Is Gus, terrible. Also didn't like it. 6x10, Bad Blood. Couldn't tell you anything that happened. Oh! Actually, no, I couldn't. 6x11, The Final Frame. I actually didn't hate this episode. I think this episode was so bad that it was actually good. I actually think this episode is strong. I thought this episode was actually, like, unironically strong, because I like how stupid it is. Like, this is fun legend stuff, and I like how we're getting fun stuff from all the characters, and I also like that we are getting, Flannel Zari in this episode. Really elevates it, because it also brings back good Nate, and I like so much of what this does. Board on Board, not great. I liked it, I didn't love it. I also didn't love the Constantine stuff this season. Silence of the Sonograms, didn't love it. 6, episode 14, There Will Be Brood. I'll say this episode was better. And The Fungus Among Us, season 6, episode 15, was better, but not great. This season was just pretty weak overall. I think in third place has to be Bay of Squids, second place, Final Frame, third place, Back to the Finale Part 2. This season, in general, just went too far. This was like the season 4 of Arrow. Like, even though I didn't love season 4 of Legends, it at least stayed true to what it was doing. Because even though season 4 of Legends was magical creatures and this is aliens, so you could argue it's not very different, the magical creatures at least felt like threats they could fight, and they still had stuff to do with history. In this season, we kind of just have random stuff happening, and there aren't good characters. And at least in season 4, we had interesting stuff with Hayworld. I loved Hayworld. Looking back on it, that was so fun. I loved Hank's dad and Nate. They were incredible. And Zari, like, that was the best of them. So yeah, I'm excited to start season 7 eventually, but I kind of miss, like, at least with The Flash, season 8 was strong. And even though season 9 The Flash kind of sucked at parts, there were 2 good episodes. And the finale, even though it was bad, like, there were at least fun-ish parts, I guess you could say, of the season. And I just hope that whatever, like, I'll say Arrow was strong throughout. And I just do want this show to have some sort of redemption in this season. And if the final season sucks, like, this is, like, I want it to end well. I really do. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.